It is a big idea, a new world order.
All the latest news and information about coronavirus.
Well, hi there. My name's James, and I'm going to talk about cards tonight. I make my own trading cards, and for anybody that might have stumbled onto this channel, I really do thank you. This is a small operation, and I make trading cards about basically the apocalypse. They're a lot of fun, and I make cards that have everything to do with the people, events, and technology that are kind of responsible for the state of the world today. Let me bring this volume up a little bit. I'm up to Series 2, and the way this works is there's 90 subjects, and every subject has 3 unique cards, but there's a different part of the story on the back of each card. That's kind of my basic pitch. But I use photography, a whole bunch of collaging, and I do not use any AI, none of that business. There's even hard to find shiny cards. But tonight, we're going to talk about a new subject for Series 3. And we're going to design that live and see how that goes. But for that, we need to talk about the source. So this is a very, very good book, and unfortunately we lost Mr. Hopsicker, I guess about a year ago, and he was quite the hungry journalist. You can see all kinds of stuff about his interest in Mena, Arkansas, Barry Seal, and this period of history dealing with just after the Cuban Revolution in 1959. You see, there's this little group that was formed, and it was right at the tail end of the Eisenhower administration, and it was called Operation 40. And this picture was actually kept secret by the widow of Barry Seal, and she showed it to Daniel Hopsicker, the author. And it's got some interesting folks in there. You'll see Frank Sturgis, you'll see Barry Seal, possibly Porter Goss. Let's see, there's some tea here. And the book spends quite a bit of time on Barry Seal, of course. But there's some interesting stuff in there about Operation 40, and it naturally leads into Operation Mongoose. And what this group was assigned to do was get rid of Fidel Castro by any means necessary. And they got some help from the Technical Services Division of the CIA, from Mr. Sidney Gottlieb. I'm not gonna read any super important passages out of here. I do have a couple here that I think are interesting, but I might get to those a little later. One of the key things to remember is the operation failed, okay? There was the Bay of Pigs invasion, which was a complete disaster, and had it succeeded, then members of Operation 40 were actually going to be sent as diplomats, and they were going to formally recognize the revolutionaries during the Bay of Pigs invasion as the official government. And members within Operation 40 were going to head certain departments within this government. These are some trained killers too, but since Bay of Pigs didn't go through and Operation Mongoose was canceled by Kennedy, they needed some other stuff to do. I mean, what else could they do? Now, some of these guys were tied up in Cuban activities too. There were a lot of Cuban revolutionaries that made their way over to Florida and Miami. And this was kind of like, I mean, this was just the fuse that lit the powder keg on so many problems that the CIA and the State Department let loose on South America and Central America. Went all the way from the 60s straight through the Iran-Contra scandal. Operation 40 team members were later expanded to like 70 guys. And you had pilots that were flying drugs for the CIA, arming militant regimes that were basically getting rid of anybody slightly left of center. You had the CIA training people on how to torture and run prisons through the help of this team known as Operation 40. Okay. So what I think I need to do is let's get to work here, okay? I got a lot to do in a short time to get there. And I need to make a card design. I've already written the material for the card, but what I've got here is a collection of, my idea here is I want a silhouette of like President Eisenhower surrounded by a bunch of turkey buzzards or vultures, and I think I can pull that off. So like here I've got some photos I've taken at the park, and I got some buzzards here drying their wings off here in the sun. And let's just get to work cutting these out. So I use a whole bunch of software, and any of y'all that are designers are probably gonna laugh at some of my lame techniques, but that's okay. So first thing I want to do is I want to cut out the buzzard, and fortunately, because the sun's right behind him, should get a pretty decent line of ants around the feathers. I'm not going to say everything that I'm doing. I probably picked the wrong time to be streaming tonight because President Trump is talking about the country tonight. And so anybody in the future that might watch this, you kind of know what I'm up against. I find this to be pretty relaxing. But I also do this mainly as a proof and concept because I do run into opportunities to do card shows, and they do have strict rules, especially when you're presenting something related to any form of art, and they are strict. No AI whatsoever, and that's understandable. And I've even been asked to prove it, and so I'll point them to one of these videos. Okay, now this doesn't have to be perfect, but I want some of the major lines here covered up. Need that feather. probably, well, I'm not sure yet. It depends on how many more shows I can do, but the majority of print costs are going to be paid through sales at these card shows and online sales. That always helps. Series 3 is looking pretty sweet. Got all kinds of neat subjects in there. And yes, there is going to be some subjects related to those files that just got released. And I've been perusing them. They're interesting. I mean, there's unfortunately there's a lot more files that are not public. And I don't know if they ever will be. Shoot. I've already seen one that's actually in the release that basically says that there are so many files that are just too gruesome to be released because of, well, I mean, you can guess. But those may never, ever see the light of day, even if they have boxes or they're redacted. And I don't know, I kind of fall in the same camp as a lot of people. I don't need to see that. I don't. I'm willing to take somebody's word for it or some other. I mean, just something definitive. You know, I don't need to know the gruesome details. I don't want to stumble on it either. It's just not my thing. I am interested more into, or I am dipping more into the blackmail and the actual power that Epstein had over folks. So, for example, you might remember a couple weeks ago, there was a video of Stacey Plaskett texting Epstein live during questioning, and that was pretty wild. Okay, so that's got a good, semi-decent poll. Now, my idea here is that all of these guys are individual buzzards that are a part of this group. And I'm not going to pull 40 buzzards into this, but I am going to pull enough. So some of this is tedious, but that's what you're going to do. You know, you're going to make something, then you're going to spend some time on it, or you're going to let AI do everything for you. I don't think so. All right, let's get. Let's get this dude. I figure if I keep my current pace and enough funds are available from sales, then I should be ready to print, I guess. Oh, I don't want to speculate too much, but I'd say I'd pretty much be ready by the end of the spring. Got a couple of shows coming up. One sounds pretty cool. It's called the Macabre. I think it's called the Macabre Market. And that's at the world famous Orange Show here in Houston. And if you're local or if you know somebody, then send them on out. It's I think it's going to be March 7th. Come out and say hi. Get that bad boy in there. And then there's a couple more that I want to get out of this. Let's delete that mask. Now these don't have to be perfect because I'm going to be altering the color, and I'm also going to make sure I've got some decent black and white, slightly black and white, and then we'll add some HDR to really make these buzzards pop. And I might even sneak a seal in there. I think I got a seal asset. I'm still not really good at all this live stuff. Let's see. Get all these dancing ants around there, and then the fun will begin. Like I said earlier, this is more just proof of concept for any naysayers at a show. They're like, hey man, you didn't make this, prove it. Because, I come across some companies or individuals, I'm not sure, teams that are making cards, and they're making game cards, and, more power to them. I think that's great. It's just that I am seeing a tremendous amount of AI artwork, and I get it. It's easy. It saves so much time. I mean, you could spit out, complete sets in a matter of seconds or hours if you're trying to revise your prompt. I get it. I understand. But, there was a time when Photoshop was considered lazy. And now, here we are in an age where Photoshop is considered work. I think this is pretty fun, actually. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, I get to do this. There are some very talented artists out there that I'd recommend checking on Instagram and giving a shout out to. One of them is a fine artist. Her Instagram is, her name is Emma, and I think it's Imagineering on Instagram. And she's very, very, very talented. And I really would like to get her to design a card. I think that would be fantastic. It's just I'm one guy, and I am in touch with her, but I haven't had time or the resources yet to start pooling any extra talent. But that'll change. Oops. Let's brush out that. Don't need that. And the legs, I'm not necessarily worried about seeing all of the buzzards. And I'm going to refine those lines in the final product. I just want to get them on here first. Okay. And yeah, I'll do my RGB editing here in Photoshop only because I get more options for effects and other options in this color space that are not available in CMYK. And then I will then move it over to Illustrator, and that way I keep all of my effects. It works out better that way. Okay, so I got 3 buzzards. Let's see. It's kind of, oh, there's one with his back to us, but I think that focus is off. Let me go see if I can find its better cousin here. Yeah, come on, where you at? I got some slow drives. All right, let's try again. Okay, fine. I'll find it myself. Oh, there we go. Let's see. It's one of these. Nope. And nope. Okay. I think I'm going to bring these guys in. I think I feel like I need like 5 or 6 decent turkey buzzards, and then I can get on to the other assets. Once I'm done with this, this should move a little faster. And then once this is all done and recorded, I'll make a fast, speedy version for Instagram. It's all about proof of concept. You know, I got to show it off. Because if... Oh, shoot. I don't usually try to get every single hot button issue that from the previous year into a new series. It's just too much. I've got books everywhere, and I've got other topics that I'm trying to make write-ups for. And there is kind of a flow to these cards. I'm getting better at having cards in order that tell multiple stories in a particular order, which I think is fairly important. Okay, that's much better. There's some raggedy bird right there. It just needs some variety, because everybody's drying their wings here. And then, oh, that reminds me, I've got another set of birds I can pull from. Okay. Yeah, this is at a pond that I like to visit from time to time. You know, I'll drop my pole in there and go fishing, but supposedly this pond is stocked with trout. But these dadgum buzzards pluck out all of the trout as soon as they're released. And some of the other dudes around there, the fish, they're telling me, well, you got to be there as soon as the trout are released. So you got about maybe 2.5 hours of good fishing, and then it's over. Okay, well, what time do they drop off the fish? You know, oh, well, just before the park opens. I'm like, well, I'm not getting all the way out there for that. And it's always like some random weekday where I have other work I have to do. So, forget it. Besides, I'm not the biggest fan of freshwater trout out of a pond. Catch them in a river. Shoot, last time I caught freshwater trout was probably up in Arkansas. Get saltwater trout down at the Gulf. Okay, that should work. Yeah, it's a little rough, but I'm going to smooth these fellows out when it's time to put some polish on this. Okay. Now, I thought I'm going to shoot. I had some other buzzard photos. Go through my collection here. This is just more and more assets. Some of these are actually, I'm blowing through them, but some of these are actual artwork for Series 3, but that's another subject entirely. I know I brought those in. Shucks. Oh, yeah. Paranoid American. He's a good dude. He sent me some of his cards. I thought those were pretty neat. He makes cards about all kinds of figures. Some you call crusaders, and some are some dirty guys, but he poses them in a way to where they match up perfectly with old retro baseball cards, matching the font and everything. It's pretty it's pretty neat, and he's expanded into like play sets, I think, and I mean, really talented fellow. He's got a background with Disney. Yeah, Paranoid American is another good dude that's doing stuff like this. I'm telling you, this is the kind of stuff that, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here, but I feel like that this is, I mean, this is a way to kind of invade other areas that get normal folks out of their comfort zone. Okay? I mean, I'm doing it with cards, and Paranoid American's doing it with toys and other media. And I just feel like we're going to go ahead and make our own rules, and it's going to pay off. I mean, this is, I know when I go to a card show, it is completely unexpected for people to walk up to my table and see what I got. Okay, finally, there they are. So I've got those, and I've got those. Sorry, I was just stalling until I could get those into Lightroom. I wait for my drive to wake up and get those over there. I'm sure my mic is still working. Sometimes that drops out. There we go. No photos or videos are found to import. What are you talking about? Right there. Don't do this to me, not while I'm live. Oh. Okay, well, what are these called? Oh, they're already in here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. That's obviously not working. So I'm just going to pull this into Photoshop. But it's going to give me the camera raw prompt, which is fine. I don't mind. Might as well do some camera raw on them anyway. I always shoot raw. I rarely, unless it's like a deliverable required by the client on site, then I'll shoot JPEG. There we go. That's better. Okay. Look at these ugly sons of guns. Is at a different park, but this particular park's near a neighborhood that I thought was interesting because I see all kinds of stuff here. There was a we've seen seagulls come in this far inland because I mean we're not too close to the coast. It takes about a good hour and a half drive to get to saltwater around here, but yeah, there's pelicans and seagulls. They'll show up, and then one day it was pretty wild. There was a bald eagle flying around out here. Thought there was about to be a football game or something. Let's get that out of the way. All right. get 2 for 1. Alright, I guess I can get a couple more and then I'll be done plucking turkey buzzards. They're everywhere out here. Well, that's a good thing. There's plenty of roadkill to choose from. Oops, I don't want those shingles. Now, the big show coming up is going to be at the George R. Brown Convention Center, and it's called the Nostalgia Con. And I did that last year, and it was a great show. I got a really nice response. So, I'm hoping on another one, because reality is that I'm pretty small potatoes. It doesn't take much for me to have a decent show. I mean, I want to have a great, amazing show, because then that means I'm closer to printing Series 3. But like, I'm not one of those dealers that needs to trade for a big huge card or let me break this down. So a lot of these shows that cater to cards, they're obviously going to be more aimed at sports and Pokemon and popular stuff. And if there's a very rare card, then you get dealers that are going to plop down a couple $100 for it. But then they got to turn around and sell it. And so maybe they're getting 50 or $100. I mean, they got some wheeling and dealing to do. I don't have that problem. I do have from time to time kiddos asking if, is this rare? Or is this worth anything? I'm like, well, I mean, go ahead. You sell it if you can. I don't care. I don't really care. Because I think, it's not so much about this being worth anything. It's just about making it a fun, novel way to just give yourself a reminder about things in history that are uncomfortable, slightly edgy, maybe a little biased. I think it's all in good fun. I mean, if you want to call it fun. A lot of this is really dark. There are subjects that I think are just absolutely disturbing and sad. Okay, I think that's enough buzzards. But then I think I got just an easy one here I can throw on. And then I'll refine some edges and then get our next stage going. Okay. Better save that in case I get a crash. Alright, so central to this operation, like I said earlier, was President Eisenhower. And so I need Mr. Eisenhower. But we're not going to keep him in his normal clothes. Cut him out. And I prefer him standing. You can get a whole bunch of really good public domain historical images from the National Archives. Whoops. Shrink that down a bit. Yeah, there is some current stuff in Series 3, but I guess I'm not much of a... I'm not trying to speculate in a lot of these cards. I'm trying to just supply something that has actual resources and information that you can look up. I mean, I speculate in my head all the time, but putting it on a card is, to me, that just feels a little irresponsible. I'm not saying everything I'm putting on there is 100% accurate, because some of it does come from sources that use some circumstantial evidence or reporting, like the Hopsticker book. That guy does the legwork, though. He interviews people involved. There's a really good story online where he and a small team actually went to Mena, Arkansas to actually learn about Southern Air Transport flying in and out of Mena and Barry Seal bringing drugs up from South America. And he does his legwork. That is for sure. Sometimes he runs into some dead ends. And it's funny that kind of reminds me of what's going on now with these Epstein files, is that there's a lot of smoke. I mean, a lot. And there are some direct connections. But when there aren't any like solid indictments or admissions, you get a lot of circumstantial connections. It's difficult to go ahead and lay out everything. I don't know if any of y'all caught the testimony by Lutnick and Wexner, but it was pretty spectacular. Okay, I think that's enough for Mr. Ike. We'll smooth that out a little later. I do have both books by Whitney Webb, One Nation Under Blackmail, and those are risky books to release because it was prior to the file release, but there is some interesting history in there that ended up kind of getting brushed over during the Wexner testimony. Like he mentions the couple that introduced him to Epstein, but he leaves out some key details. And this is a theme I've noticed other people make. I'm just parroting them a little bit, but adding my own thoughts on it. And that is, these billionaires, when they are confronted with questions, they come across as like just the dumbest, clueless saps. Because if you know anything about what's going on, you know that Epstein got power of attorney over Wexner's fortune, and Wexner acts like, oh well, he was a con. I couldn't see it coming. Oh, no, I don't believe that at all, man. I really don't. Same thing with Lutnick. They're just so ignorant. Okay, I don't want to get all trapped into that. Okay, so we got. Let's clean this up a little bit. In fact, now that I got all these on here, there's some other things I'm going to add, but in order to maintain some sort of continuity, let's just save a new file. Operation 40 front. Next. That way, if I change my mind, I can go back. Okay, there's some momentum here. Let's call this Ike. Our Vulture. Alright, so let's turn off Ike. That Vulture's pretty clean. Now I need to make some decisions. So some of these guys I need to blow up. But I know once I do, then some of those harsh lines are going to show up. Those rough edges from the cutout I made. But that's an easy fix. At least I think it is. Now, because there's 40 of these clowns, I'm not going to put 40 birds on here, but I want to have enough that are just off to the side to give the illusion that there's a lot more. And I need to position them in a way to where they're not obviously in an awkward position. And I'm not just leaving them to look in that state of color. We'll adjust the color and a little bit. Yeah, he's a little too big. Alright, let's rotate him a little bit. Make him look like he's flying. Okay, I don't even know where this one is. Oh, there you are. And then, let's see, our main bird, like you. This might even be a little too large, because, I mean, remember, we're dealing with a card here, and I don't want one bird to just completely dominate all the others. And I got a wiener dog here that might need to take a potty break. Alright. Okay, that's a little better. All right, now as far as smoothing these out, let's see. Well, I may not have to. Okay. So let's experiment a little bit, and let's see what threshold looks like on one of these. I don't really care for threshold. Now I do want an even look over all of them. So what I might end up having to do is, let's see. So I want them to look mostly desaturated, almost dark. So let's add another layer, and oh, as Bob Ross would say, I got some decisions to make. Okay. So let's make it a smart object. And then I want to give it not a solid color overlay. Let's give it a little black. Just drop it a little bit. So it's mostly in silhouette. That's not bad. What if I did the same thing only with a gradient? I kind of like it in black. Just a hint. Now the background is going to be white, so I might as well just do that now. White-ish. And as far as this cheese ball border goes, that's just gives me a sense of where my borders are for the cut line of the cards. I don't really need that. In fact, I'll just convert all these to smart objects. You know, there's still a couple of free cards out there, free packs of cards, and I'm still waiting for people to reply with the answer to my trivia questions. I've got free cards to send. All you gotta do is answer my trivia question on some of the videos where I open packs. Okay, that's better. Things are a little darkened out. Okay. Yeah, as long as you live in the United States, I will totally send you those packs of cards, but you gotta answer my trivia question. Okay. This still looks like trash, but we're gonna fix that. Now, as far as Mr. Eisenhower goes, let's change him to a smart object. And what I want to do is give it just like a very stylized, monochromatic kind of look. And I got some other tricks. So, because everything's so dark and black, I don't want any of the buzzards to get in the way. So, I want to build those around him. Let's turn off the buzzards for now. Okay, and we'll just deal with Mr. President here. Now, those lines, those cutouts, they're a little on the shaky side. So let's see if we can refine that edge a little bit. Yeah, but I think I gotta get this. Well, it's not that bad. Okay. So I got a little extra surprise here to add. I want him to look a little sinister. So I've got some, I'm going to give him some chompers. Whoops. Now, the perspective's off. So let's see if we can't fix that. change. It doesn't have to be like completely perfect. But that looks okay. This is getting a little weird, but hey, now the teeth are a little off. And I think they need to be angled a little more. Change that perspective. Dadgummit. I always forget which one of these. Okay, that's a start. And then let's give him some beady eyes. And we're going to do something special with the eyes. Okay, that's a start. Okay. Now, something I could do is... Well, I'm going to try it first. I want to make sure I got my scale here. Now, I make these extra large just so when they shrink, it's I don't get any weird pixelation. So we got 30. What does that say? 3260 by 4440. So 3260 by 440. What I'm going to do. Oops. Just going to clear out my hard drive space here. In After Effects, there's this really cool feature. It's a plugin. I think it's from Video Copilot, but it's called Saber. And it is amazing. You basically can create lasers. Okay? It's really, really neat. Nobody wants to see this. I clear out my cache. And I really, really, really like Saber. It can add all kinds of neat flashing lasers or fire around text or basically any mask that you tell it to. Now while that's going on, I think what I'll do is, let's turn off the eyes. And let's turn off our background. Excuse me, I got the hiccups here. What I want to do is I want to have like lasers kind of drifting out of his eyes. Make it look really sinister, okay? So let's save this as... eyes. And what's cool is I can bring this in to After Effects with all the layers. And yeah, I could go ahead and try to make a laser in Photoshop, but this is kind of the lazy way to do it because I don't want to spend another hour focused on nothing but lasers. Let's get rid of all these extra layers. We'll have our eyes. We don't need that copy. All right. I can close that one out. And let's reopen our current file. It's easy to get confused. Okay. Now. I should have enough space. I mean, I got a pretty massive computer, but man, I fill it up in a hurry. Now it's going to ask how I want to bring it in. I want to bring it as a composition with editable layer styles. Okay. Now if I open the comp, there it is. And then all of the layers are right there. All my eyes, everything. So what I want to do is I want to make a new layer. New solid, I should say. We'll just call that Saber. I like it when I get an excuse to use Saber. Boom, right out of the gate. You get this really cool looking Saber. Alright. But the problem is that it doesn't know what you want to do with it. Alright, so we'll turn it off for now. And what I'm going to do is, I think this will work, but I'm going to thought I could trace that. Auto trace. There we go. So if I auto trace the eyes, it's going to make a mask. Okay. And it's right there. Okay. And we'll just rename that. From my perspective, at least. There's our left eye. Oops. If you double click it, you open it in another editor. Okay. Now with the Saber layer selected, what I want to do is I want to apply that laser to one of the eyes. And this is, I know this is hard to read, but I can't exactly blow it up. Sometimes it takes me a minute to find the correct settings. Now I gotta tell it which mask. Where are you? Nope. Not the text layer. Oh, I know why. Because they didn't make a mask out of it. That's why. Duh. Okay, well, even if I can't do that, I've got other options. Just got to render. Let me take that render down to about a third. I don't have a text layer. Nope. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, because I'm retarded. All I really need is my saber to... all I really need is the saber to cut across the eyes. That's it. And let's see if we can't get something a little more violent. There we go. That's a little better. Again, I'm half retarded, y'all. Okay. I can make this work. So I'm going to save this frame. And at least it's the right scale and it's in the right position for me to use for this particular orientation on the card. I'm getting frustrated if you can't tell, because it's kind of embarrassing not to have this already planned out. Okay. I don't think I'm going to need this anymore, so let's get rid of it. All right, there, and it's in a perfect place. Okay, now I want the eyes to still be visible. So let's invert that mask. And then we need to control that. That mask, that laser is just a little out of control. Let's get a nice soft brush. Now, I'm probably going to have to do some deep improvements on this when I'm ready to finally go to print. I'm just getting a rough job here, okay? Okay, that looks a little better. Okay. I might actually make the eyes a little bigger. Okay. Let's brush in a little bit more. Laser around those eyes. Otherwise, it looks too cartoony. It looks like glasses. I mean, this is cartoony enough. In fact, let's go ahead and mask out some of those eyes too. Okay, that looks a little better. It's really jaggedy and strange, but I don't know. I'm having fun with this. Okay. I think I've had it with that rough outline. So let's fix that. We're going to soften that just a little bit because it's just too, well, I don't know. I like it a little rough because I'm going to do something else a little later to make it even rougher. So, I don't know. I can live with that. Okay. So, let's do the hard stuff. Let's get some of these buzzards in here. One of them is definitely going to be on his shoulder. I know that. Shoot, could be that one. I don't know. This is where I need my border because I need to see where I can cheat a little bit. Now that one I think needs to be around his feet. So we got to put him above. No, this is not at all the final product. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Do I need that extra vulture? I don't know. Might be a little too much. Maybe just a little too big. And the neck is all crooked. It's the problem with vultures is they don't really fly very well. Maybe small enough. Maybe that'll work. Okay, that's getting a little better. Let's move these guys. So I want to see some feet. Okay. This one on his shoulder I don't really care for. Maybe I can leave him down here because his wings are cut off anyway. And this shaggy one here, that one, I don't even think I'll use him. Okay, this one looks like I can get on a shoulder. Now, the problem is if everything's dark and black, it looks like it's kind of melting together into one shape. And don't worry, I'm going to make all this make better sense in a little bit. This is just the awkward, goofy stuff. Okay, now what I need to do is something to these buzzards that make them a little bit more distinguished. Now I had them with color overlays just to completely fuzz them out, just so they're silhouettes, and I don't mind that. But I think if I gave them just maybe a small, soft, like 1 pixel white stroke, that might define them from one another. Let's see, how big is that stroke? 5? Okay, 5. I can live with 5. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's a little better. We're getting there. We're getting there. Now, some of the key things here is that you want to... half of any decent Photoshop is hiding your seams, okay? And I'm going to do that. You want things to look like they all kind of belong in the same composition. Like it's not just complete random garbage. And you could do that by kind of hiding your seams. And I'm doing that with the color overlays, with the strokes. Yeah, let's just make them all that way. And I got, and then we're gonna rough them up even more. And I can't forget about our flying buzzards. Let's keep the same pattern. I might have to go in and mask a few things out a little later. Okay, now everything looks like it kind of belongs a little better. But we need to do more. So another cool trick that I like taking advantage of is adding some grunge patterns as sort of as a way to roughen, but without being too destructive. So I've got a whole bunch of these grunge patterns and textures, I mean. And let's see, just the right ones look pretty patchy and nasty. I do like that. And since this is a JPEG, I can still use that. I like this one. One day I gotta just add the transparency and bite the bullet. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna select the color range of just the black. And then I'm going to add it as a mask. I can't invert that. It's not bad. Make them a little grainy. I like it a little bit more if it was transparent. I just do. Oh crap. What did I do? Oh no. Okay. I'm back. Alright. So let's go back to our brush. I think we need to start over here. The pattern's a little too soft. I want something a little more edgy. That's not bad. And that's a TIFF. A little brighter. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not quite the effect I'm going for. Let's try something else. So I know I've got some. There's some paper assets in here that are handy because there's a folder full of got some torn paper. That might work. I kind of like that. I mean, individual strips are okay. That's something I'm gonna warp. Let's try that. Okay, I'm liking this. I don't want any on his face, though. I just want those little slashes. So let's duplicate that. Yeah. I like where this is going. Just flip it horizontally. Now that's a little better. I like that effect. That's better. Okay. Now what I need to do is take some chunks out of the vultures. Everything's got to have sort of a theme or a universal look. I'm going to go back to my grunge textures. I know I'm going to find one that'll be perfect. Well, hopefully more than one. Something that's a little dotty, but not too nasty. And if I have a PNG, oh, that's a PNG. I can use that. because that's going to have the transparency that I've been looking for. I think I know what the problem is. There we go. See, things look a little patchy, a little torn. I like that. I like that a lot. And let's reuse this one. Yeah, I like that. Let's find another texture. Something, ooh, that's kind of cool. I think I already used that one though, and I really prefer to find... Yeah, I really prefer to find a PNG because I don't feel like messing with all the transparencies. Okay, well... do this one. Oh, I can make use out of this one. Gotcha, buddy. A little on the tattered side. Might be a little too large, but I think that's acceptable. Okay. Yeah, everything looks kind of chewed up and nasty. I like that. Almost looks like that Sin City comic book. Yeah, I know we're missing some feet, and I'm going to fix that. Oops. Oh well. Took a little extra out of him. Oh, that's the one I need to fix right there. Okay. Oh man, that's starting to look a lot better. Now we got some nasty looking buzzards. Okay. So something else I need to do is we need to add kind of a... Well, let's see. Let me fix that. Think. Let's see. When was? See, now I got to check my knowledge here. I gotta make sure I use the right flag. Okay, when Alaska and Hawaii being considered in 50s. Okay. 1953. Okay, so we need to use the 50 star flag, not this one. That's why I am a dummy. But these are the kind of errors and garbage that I make when I'm not recording. So got all the errors right here recorded. Y'all can make fun of me, say I'm retarded. Now, I like using the vector because I can blow it up. I can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. Let's have a little bit of the stars in there. Okay, now, earlier when I added that stroke, it's starting to really stand out here. Okay, so now I need to figure out where my errors are showing up. Okay, so not that bird. Okay, Down here, I got a little bit. No, it's not. I don't think it's coming from that bird. That one definitely has a problem. Looks like it's pooping. There's weird strings coming off of it. Okay. Is this one? Yeah, that one's coming off of Eisenhower. Oops. Okay. All right. Still gotta figure out where that's coming from. Coming out of this buzzard down here. Yep. Little buzzard hairs. Ugh. Okay. I think I got another one here I gotta eliminate. Well, maybe not. Okay, so the flag looks actually pretty decent, but I think I'm going to grunge that up too. It's all about consistency. Might even add a glow to that. Got a couple of ideas. Ooh, I like that. Let's make that a little larger. Okay. Now, I guess I can rasterize that. Let's make that a smart object, and let's try to add a few bells and whistles to this. All right. Time to save a new project. I think I'm pretty close to the tail end here. I think I am. Oh, you want to see my email there? Okay. Let's save this as polish. And then I'm going to try to go ahead and make something a little bit more intense with that flag. I think this will work. Never been too happy with the glow settings. Yeah, that's not what I'm going for. Okay, one thing I can do is let's duplicate this layer, and then let's add a little soft blur. Ooh, or a big blur. You know, that looks pretty freaking cool. I like that a lot. Okay. Now I just kind of luck my way. Let's turn off. No. Yeah, we can offset the colors a little bit. That's kind of neat. I like that. Turn the green off. The red's a little on the harsh side. But just accenting that blue, I think, yeah, that's legit. Maybe I can move that up. Offset it even more. Hey, I think that looks like a winner. Now, there's some other things I want to change. And I'll probably do that at a later date. Okay. But one thing I definitely want to try, and maybe I do this too much, but there are a couple things that can be done just to improve the overall image. And one of those is in Lightroom, and there's some really fantastic, just easy to use HDR effects. And I might use them too much, but I think they're pretty fantastic. And it's worth just trying them out just to see what kind of effect you get out of it. If your original's fine, then that's no harm, no foul. I'll create a bunch of copies just to kind of see what it looks like. They look like side by side. Yeah, the art HDR section. Now, most of them will make them monochromatic, but depending on the color combination you have, you can get some really good, like almost like they're cut out of metal. And I'm not really seeing anything that's that dramatic. I mean, that's just not as good as the original I made. Ooh, that's too much. Yeah, I'd kind of like with what I got. Okay. So now what I want to do is work on a title. So I don't think I need Lightroom anymore. But just to put a... I know I'm probably doing this the wrong way, okay? But, usually when I have to deliver these files to get printed, they ask for vectors most of the time. Sometimes they'll take high-res PNGs, which I can do all of that in Photoshop. But if I'm doing text and other changes where I really don't want to mess with pixels, then I'll do it all in Illustrator. And I've got a template set up with my card and my correct border. But at least all those effects I did in RGB color space, I can then flatten and bring them into Illustrator. I know I could probably do that in Illustrator, but I don't know how. Whoops. That's a little too much. Okay. And then we'll embed that. And then we just need to decide where we want to put, or which color logo we want. I think white is probably the way to go. And I think I'm going to put it where the black logo is. So I check my coordinates. It's at 56. Okay. We'll just change that. There. And then I've got my little digital signature. I need to move around. And I'll put that over here. And I like even numbers on my alignment. It just makes it easier to remember. And then the last thing we need is our title. So let me save this first, because I'm worried that something's going to crash on me. It always does. Now, I do want a rusty kind of textured effect for my title. I'm just saving and closing all these out, because I don't need a whole bunch of stuff open and occupying my computer while I record this. Come on, buddy. Save it. Okay. And then I do have a preset that I've already kind of set up just to save time. I like the look of that, but I don't really like the material. I think it's just a little too rough. That's not bad. I like that font. You're gonna do this to me. Give me a weird gap. Of course you would. Now let's bring that down just a bit. Oops. I'm going to need my 40 to be low. Okay, something like that. And that's going to be enormous and loud and ugly, but I don't know, it looks pretty cool. So let's just see what it looks like when I add it. Now, as you know, I'm still working in RGB color, but now I'm going to go ahead and add this to my Illustrator file. And one thing you have to always do, and I'm terrible at this, is you got to make, as you can do all kinds of cool effects, but if it's not legible, then start over. Okay? Don't try to hammer it. Don't try to hammer in something that isn't very legible. Okay? And I'm going to apply a drop shadow on that, and Illustrator's got a pretty good system for drop shadow, but it by default it's kind of huge. So let's go 0.5 and then 0.25, and then I can preview that. Ooh, that's pretty gross. Let's make that 0.2. Let's make that like 0.1. No, that looks like trash. I think I kind of like it the way it is. But just in case, sometimes I'll go ahead and make a duplicate of it. And then see if there's any oomph on the transparency. Change the mode a little bit. Make it pop. I like lighting. Ooh. Screen's a little too soft. Soft light and screen, or soft light and lighten look about the same. Lighten was okay, and soft light, yeah, I like lighten. And then just to be safe, let's see what it was. Normal. Oh, well, it really wasn't much of a change. Okay, well, I think that'll work. All right. So that is going to be Operation 40. And I know it looked a little rough at first, but I think that looks pretty cool. And that's about all I have for tonight. And hopefully, there's probably going to be some minor improvements, but this will be the card face for Operation 40. And I'm going to wind this down, and y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you if you're watching this right now. And just as a reminder, I still have boxes of Series 2 available. And I mean, they're I spend just as much time on every card as you saw tonight. This is a passion project. I incorporate all kinds of stuff, and I wouldn't want it unless I thought it looked cool also. So let me wind up my credits. And if you have any suggestions or any advice, or you want to yell at me and tell me what a weirdo I am, then just please reach out to me on Instagram, Plunder World Cards. You can contact me through the website. And yeah, that was a lot of work, but I get a kick out of it.
Bye.